I would like to procure the bag.
I wanna be a rich bitch. Penthouse doorman, money, 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 rich bitch. Hey, give me that bag. Rich bitch.
Yes, you're so rich.
So serious. So serious. Love her.
So serious. Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God.
Oh my
Let's make this
God.
a podcast that we
Let's make this a podcast that we record.
Let's get off to. We're off to the races.
Oh my God.
Here we
Listen,
are.
I don't think we've been in the same room recording. We've been in the same room, but not in the same room recording in a very long time.
Yeah, I feel like I never see you, which I know is not true, but also I feel like I'm so dissociated from everything right now that I don't see anyone, which is not true.
Oh.
I see people a lot.
Oh.
But
Are they
real? That's
I'm a little
quite
concerned.
a good question. I should start texting the people that I think that I'm seeing to be like, I did see you this day, right?
You're like, you were there. I was there. Were we both there?
You have a third arm now, right?
Yeah. Are you that guy? Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like we see each other virtually a lot.
We do.
I mean, but that's lame.
It's
That's
whatever.
fucking dumb.
It's better than nothing.
I agree, but also, no. And
Yeah.
come on. It's us.
It's us.
Come on, look at me. Touch my
We're
hand.
the
We're
problem.
here.
It's
Like,
us.
It's us. No, I've been literally booked.
You are a
22
crazy
days
person.
straight. Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
understand how you are standing, not sleeping all the time. I have days like that, like one day like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, no one talked to me for a week.
Yeah, and then on my first day off, they're like, okay, so we want you to be at every picket and then make an appearance at every picket and do the chant and do the da-da-da. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Because honestly,
Right.
I love that shit.
Of course.
And I'm so
But it's
honored.
also,
And also,
I needed a nap.
I'm sleep deprived. But also, I am a board member. I'm happy to do it. I'm honored to do it. I'd do it again. Because honestly, that's the way to do it. Is I have a big old mouth. She fun. She a member of the board. That's the triumvirate right there.
Yeah.
That's all they needed. So I went around, did that. It was so freaking awesome to feel like the vibes and everybody was so, because as of this recording, which will still come out probably weeks later, and hopefully we'll be done with the strike,
to have our convention, cut short. Because the thing is, I worked straight into convention. Then I blocked off that whole weekend and to give myself 8-9 hour days on Zoom plus, and then 14-hour national board meeting plus through Tuesday. I blocked it all out. I said no, and to stuff, and I needed to anyway. I was like, I need to chill. But this is what I like to do. I like to book a lot of stuff. It's such the gig life, and then I'm just able to do anything I want for a while. Do you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I love.
There is part of me that misses that.
Yeah.
But also,
But I'm not in trouble either. Like, I've made myself be okay if I even don't do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
because then I'll be like, I'm not freaking out that if nothing is happening for,
yeah. Well, it was. I was doing that for over almost a decade.
Yeah.
When I was in the Upper West, because my apartment was so cheap.
Right.
And now the apartment is not cheap, so I feel like I'm not able to do that unless
Yeah.
all of a sudden I did something that gave me a massive influx of
Sure.
cash that I could then just sit on. But
Yeah.
I do miss like the culture of doing that.
Yeah.
Because like going to the office every day, like when I am booked on things for right now,
Mm-hmm.
TBD. Hopefully by the time everyone is listening to this, I have a full fucking job because some of the shit that I'm up for is incredible and I wanted give me the dollars.
That all sounds really exciting.
It is. And I just can't emotionally handle doing gig work right now.
Oh, no,
I'm
yeah.
happy to like pick stuff up here and there if I can.
For sure.
But having that be my full-time situation, like mentally I would fully collapse.
Yeah, no. It's not, because, that's why I always have, if I want to, a couple pitch decks a month or acting bookings and stuff, and, then in between, whatever, because it's I can't just be I depend on this gig happening now and this and that, because I can know things are going to happen a certain month with, pitch decks. I can line that shit up, and I'm okay. If I don't, you know what I mean? If I didn't have that, absolutely. It's exhausting, Being an artist is hard, though. I think, but I don't know. I don't think I could do, but I couldn't do the 9 to 5. So I don't know where I'm at. I think I just could do Sarah Seeds. I really think that's it.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
I want to get to that point eventually one day in my life. But
Yeah, I don't know what
feel
that means.
For right now, and to be fair, I have been very fortunate in that I've been able to just do Edward Miskey
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
we're just in a position now where that is not a feasible thing at this second.
At this juncture.
And so, like, for the next couple years, I'm happy to take a 9-to-5 office situation with benefits and perks and paid time off and all the other shit. Like, yes, let me have it.
Yes, benefits.
Because I just am tired of not having it.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's something very cathartic and comfortable about it that I have experienced before.
Right.
You know, like when I moved to the city, my answer to not wanting to wait tables or bartend was to go work in corporate. So I had an executive assistant job.
Right.
I was working in finance.
Right.
And, you know, I didn't have to do that. I chose to do that later.
Yeah.
In, I think 2016 was when I started doing that.
Right.
Because I also then didn't want, no, it was later than that. It was like 2018, I think.
Wow.
I don't know. It was not that long ago.
Yeah, that's
But
really
I was like catering on and off for a little while, and then I just decided I'd rather bartend, and then I got into that on the catering side, and then I moved into being in an actual restaurant. But like, it was short lived compared to like office work that I've done.
Right. And I think you found your I don't know, your footing there. And also, like, if you can use, here's what I say. I say, like, anything anyone can do to, while they're doing something, make money, but also pursue their passions.
Agreed.
Like, it's kind of exactly what you're saying. Is I think, and there's different versions for everyone, but I think what you're saying is, like, doing your 9-to-5 while also working on your, pilot, working on this or that, working on your music, doing what makes you come alive, while also having stability.
Yes, and I think that, I don't remember if we talked about this before, because I feel like I personally talk about this a lot, but like the idea that by having a 9-to-5, you like pursuing a career in the arts is infeasible.
That's insane.
Is just false.
Wrong.
Even when I was working in a hedge fund when I was 20 years old, I was still able to like leave on my lunch and go to auditions.
Yeah.
I work with a woman now when I'm in this one particular office that like she will leave in the middle of the day to go to an audition. Or like she's been there long enough that she has some say, and that if she wants to work at home, she can on days that she wants to get auditions filmed or whatever.
And also, like, for self-tapes and everything, it's like so much easier now. Like, come on.
That's why it makes me laugh when all these people are like, we need to stop the self-tapes. And it's like,
No.
but like, first of all, no. And second of all, like, it's always from the people who are the ones that refuse to get a job unless it's an acting job.
Right.
And they have created a living situation for themselves, or they have been placed in a living situation where they can afford to do that.
Sure.
And those are the ones that are like, no more like tapes. But like, think about the people that have jobs that have to go to those jobs and are not able to go to an in-person audition.
Should be paid for auditions, which.
Right. Well, and the thing is, Actors Equity does that, but it's after a certain amount during a certain window of time. I think it's if you get more than 4 callbacks.
That makes sense to me.
In like a 6 to 8 month window for the same project.
Then yes.
Then you get paid for the audition.
That makes total sense. I mean, look, if you're doing 6-hour screen tests, I mean, you're pretty much booked anyway, but like pretend you're not. You get paid for those.
Yeah.
So anyway, SAG-aftra, you get paid. So my point is, it's the same people. I'm actually within the union, there's a self-tape committee. I was a part of it, or I am a part of it. I don't know since the strike, it hasn't been as active, obviously, because we're dealing with other stuff. But my point is like, I always was that person that was like, if you guys start insisting that we get paid just for self-tapes, because there are a lot of people's arguments are, and this is just the general population. This isn't the committee. I'm just saying in like the world that we live in. I see a lot of people, and I've had a lot of discussions with actors about this. If you literally think that we should get paid for a self-tape, just a self-tape, because you have the camera, you set it up, then you will never, self-tapes will be obliterated. Because then people just rent out a studio at somewhere, and you're gonna have to go back and doing 6 a day, jumping around the city, trying to make it, sweating, being hit, listening to other people in the other room, psyching yourself out, getting in there when you really could have just done it at home.
Yeah.
So, and to ask for them to pay for that, I don't know any other profession in the universe where you get paid for job interviews. Because if you got paid for job interviews, honey, you'd be a billionaire now.
Seriously, I would just keep interviewing.
Right?
There would be no incentive.
And where's the money come from? Does it come from the producers? Does it come from the production?
That was literally the first thing I thought of.
Where does it come from?
That. It's like, okay, if you want people to be paid for auditions, I think in terms of like theater auditions, where there's like anywhere between 200 and 500 people that show up in person.
Yeah, let's multiply that.
You want to be paid to do that? Like, the places in question aren't paying that much to start.
No.
Where do you think that money's going to come from? It's going to come out of the actor's salary.
Yeah.
So how about
Out of the production quality
how
in
about
general.
you don't do that. Like, because it's just, it is to me, and I'm making a blanket statement. Of course, this is not everyone, but to me, it is just the blatant not understanding and not caring to understand how this business works
Yeah.
that a lot of these ideas and opinions are coming from.
Yeah.
You don't understand how auditions work.
Yeah.
And if you do think that you know how auditions work because you've been to them, then you don't understand how the production side of things work.
100%.
In that you're claiming that you should be paid to audition.
And that's really the issue right there. I don't know if you've ever created your own content, if you ever put money into something, to think that every person that auditions for you and sends you a tape, you have to pay them for their time. Your shit's done. You just went bankrupt. In fact, now you owe 10 grand.
Right. But also, if that were the
What?
case, I wouldn't even hold auditions. I
Same.
would call my friends.
Exactly. So you guys don't want nepotism anymore? Then why the hell are you asking to be paid for self-tapes?
It just is so short-sighted because again, it's the lack of understanding of the business side of it. It's a domino effect. If you take one of these things away, it's going to be made up for somewhere else. If you're like, I want to be paid for auditions, that balloons the budget so high.
Right.
That like I have no incentive on the producing side to audition anybody. And then I will just make some calls to some friends and be like, hey, it's yours.
Talk about some fucking like nepotism, nepo. Talk about like, it's just my friend. Oops. Like this just how it happened. See that will happen more. And also like my thing is I always say, look, I know you're like, wouldn't it be nice though if actors wouldn't have to do other jobs to just be actors? Like, well, you still can be creatively doing other jobs in our field and make money. I do that. Why can't you just do that? And my thing is like, and if you can't do that, because I'm not thinking that everyone is able to do exactly what I'm able to do or what exactly you're able to do, blah, 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 then yeah, that might have to happen until you book the big thing. And if you're in the union and if this contract goes through that we're fighting for, your residuals will take care of that. That's what that's for.
Well, it's also the playing of the long game where it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot right now before you're running the marathon. Like it just absolutely baffles me. And I think of people, I use this person as an example a lot when I talk about this. Jessica Vosk, she's a Broadway girly.
Okay.
Like Elphaba, one of the Elphabas, blah, blah, blah. She didn't start out in theater. She worked on Wall Street.
Wow.
And then she quit Wall Street and was like, deuces, I'm going to go do Broadway. I don't know how old she was, but I guarantee you she had a couple $100,000 saved up from working on Wall Street. I'm not exactly sure what she did. I know she worked in stocks. But it would be fair to say she had some financial assets built up in order to then retire from Wall Street and pursue her dream.
Right.
Do you think that she wasn't taking classes in there? Do you think that she wasn't auditioning in there? Of course she was.
Yes.
And that's a job on Wall Street.
Yeah.
You know, the woman who does my taxes, I was talking to her about some stuff and she was like, in hindsight, I should have just gone and worked on Wall Street for a couple of years, made a few million and then quit and then done theater full time. And I was like, isn't hindsight a bitch? I wish I would have stayed in finance.
Isn't it?
And I would have stayed in the EA track because on the EA track, EAs now on average are making $100,000 a year. And if you're with a bigger company or a higher up person, if you're in a C-suite, like CEO, CFO, all that, then you're getting 120, 130, 140, 150.
Wow.
Depending, and that is also dependent on how long you're there.
Sure.
You know, like some of the jobs that I'm up for now are in that range.
Right.
And it's like from my first job as an assistant back in 2007, that is multiple salaries higher than what I was making.
Right.
I think I was getting like $45,000.
Right.
So these jobs are like 2 and 3 times what that is. So if I would have stuck with it, I would have hit that point sooner.
Right. But you wouldn't be here right now.
And I wouldn't be here right now. And my
that's
whole
the
life
thing.
would be different. And I wouldn't trade it. But I'm just saying, like, for someone who's not in, like, who's in an earlier stage or a transitional stage, like, by getting a job like that, it doesn't mean that you're giving up everything else.
No.
It's not an or. It's not an and. No, it's not an or. It's an and.
Yeah.
It's not, I have an office job or I have a job in the arts. It's I have an office job and I can afford to have a career.
And
in the
again,
arts.
there's really creative ways to figure out what money can I make that is creative and in the arts, that isn't just waiting for my agent to get me an audition and da. It's, there's so many other options and avenues. Now, again, I also find it, to go back to the self-tape thing, like, I love them because I can do multiple ones a day. I can pick my best take. I can put it in. I know what it looks like. That's not everyone's favorite thing. I also know how to edit. That helps too. But like, these are all things that have helped me exponentially, not only in social media, but like in my life. And I think that, learn some of these skills if you can, and you won't feel like you're encumbered. And I don't feel like we are entitled to get paid for just doing a job interview, for just being called in. No. I don't think that makes any sense, and I think that's entitled. Now, to attack that in a good way would be what we're fighting for now, having higher residuals. So if you book something, if you're a professional actor and you do book, you will book, you will get money for a very long time, stretched out for a very long time to keep you going. That's why they exist, so you can keep working. That's what creates a working actor. That's what we're fighting for right now. To be paid for self-tapes will make them go away. Also, I think it's ableist. Do you know many people who are unable to physically get to the audition space? Maybe they have immunocompromised, maybe they have ADA compliance, mobility issues. There's all sorts of things coming out of the woodwork, and there's a lot of actors who have opportunities because we have self-tapes. And if you start charging, be like, well, I made a self-tape, so you have to pay me this much. Then you're forcing us to go back into the audition room, which to some people is not safe and is a little bit ableist.
Well, it's also again from a place of scarcity too, because they think that like, by having thousands of people with the ability to send in a self-tape, that somehow makes them not stick out as much, or that they're not going to watch their video, or that like, it's just like, stop. The other thing too, and I'll join these two thoughts together.
Please do. Yeah.
Is that, but also stop it with the standing around with your hand out waiting for someone to hand you a job.
Yeah.
Go fucking make something of your own. If I have one more conversation with someone that's like, oh, just trying to live the dream, and like my immediate thought is like, well, what are you proactively doing? Oh, I'm auditioning and I'm just like waiting to hear from my agent. Stop waiting.
No.
Like it just, I'm personally exhausted of it.
Sure.
But also knowing what I know, having been on both sides of this now.
Yes.
Like the chances of you being quote unquote discovered in the way that like the PR machine has created this idea of how we're discovered and plucked out of oblivion is first of all false. And if it ever existed, it doesn't anymore. Mm-hmm. There's so much more you have to do, especially because, like, in the music industry, A&R reps want you to be marketed, packaged with a following already before they even consider you. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the larger productions that are going on in film and television and theater are like that, too. They want you done. They want you fully baked, and all they want to do is baste you and put you on onto the project.
Yeah.
And so that's not going to happen for you until you start making your own things and showing them who you are.
Yeah, show them what you want. Show them that you want to be. Well, how do you see yourself? Well, I'd like to be in this type of movie, that type of movie. Great. Well, let's film something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Put it together. Put it out there.
You're not a dum-dum.
Yeah, I know you can do it.
The 2 pages.
Get with your friends, all your artistic friends. What are you doing? Just get together.
As long as you have good sound and good lights.
Yeah. Hey.
Anyway, off my soapbox, because I've had a whole week of conversations like this.
I'm sorry.
That are just like, make your own fucking shit. I'm tired of saying it.
Yeah, and the thing is like, hello, New York, sounds of New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes me go like, look, I am always on the side of, I'm here for the actors. I'm here for working hard. I'm here for, fair pay and all the things that I fight for day in and day out. But the entitlement factor is not something that anyone should want or should fight for. That is not, I always feel like the only actors I've had conversations with that truly feel like we should be paid for literally doing nothing other than us getting an opportunity. It just feels like, are you sure about this? Are we good?
Again, long game.
Yeah.
You do the shit for free now so that you can roll that into something else later.
But it's a job interview. That's what it is.
It is.
If you think acting is a job, which it is, which you should if you're an actor, please, I hope you think it's an actual skill and job.
For the love of God.
For the love of Christ. Please. If you think that, then why are you getting paid for a job interview? Again, like you said, if it gets unbelievable where you're now on audition, because literally that's the same thing, number 4 or 5, and it's like been page upon page. That's why there's page count limits that we are forcing for things. That's why there's, the whole thing where like you technically don't have to memorize, just have it here or up on a thing. It's okay. Like there's things that we're getting around, so like you don't feel like it's the overwhelming that they can't give you less than amount of time. I know that's not always followed, and when it's not, make sure to let somebody know. But if it's like a page and it's a commercial and you need it tomorrow, I just suck it up and I do it the night before. It's not okay. It shouldn't be like that. We're trying to change that right now. But my point is like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's job interviews. I'm happy. You should be happy that there's an opportunity. Like out of the 1,000 people that submitted on Actors Access, whether it's you or your agent did, and now you have the opportunity to wow them. You're going to charge them $50?
Or you're going to be mad about it?
Yeah, well, I just don't understand.
I don't know.
Let's get some love on here. Let's get some enjoyment in this craft. Let's make it fun, bitches. Let's go.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's just my thing. It's sometimes it's unpopular actually to say something like that. I find that to be shocking. I've never understood why anyone thinks that we should get paid for auditions.
It's
unless it's egregious, obviously.
Right, but I mean those like specifications are already put in place.
They are. Screen tests are
so
different.
Like I don't know. I think all this is just coming from people who are big mad that their lives are not where they want them to be and are not willing.
And I hear that, baby boo. But let's do it. Something
but
about
then
it
they're also not willing to do the work to change it.
Yeah.
They're again the ones waiting with their hands out, being like, "Where are the auditions? Where's the jobs? My agent this, blah blah blah," but aren't doing anything or making anything for themselves.
Right.
And it's just, I just can't.
I'm gonna speak for myself. Even I, who I've been working professionally for like over a decade now at this point, and since I was little, but like in the city in New York, like over a decade. And I've had multiple different agents. I've had ones we really worked well together. I have ones that I feel like we just whether we didn't gel or they didn't understand who I was or they didn't like where I was headed, whatever it is, doesn't matter. That's not no here nor there. You just move on, and you have to find the people that fit you and are really pimping you out. But the thing is, you better be doing it yourself too.
I've always
said
they
get 10%.
Right.
You're the 90.
You do 90% of the work.
Please.
I was just gonna say that.
Please, because it's like even me, I've had to remind myself. It's like, oh yeah, I know that my shout out to my reps, they're amazing, all of them are. But even though I'll get a lot of auditions through them, I still remind myself, hey bitch, you better be on Actors Access submitting yourself to things that really strike your fancy and you really want to do. If something really hits you, maybe they didn't submit you for it, so just do it.
Yeah.
Because I know they see different breakdowns than I do. But from the ones I see, even today I was on Actors Access doing submitting for stuff, and this is coming from someone who's been working for years. I think it's just very important to do your own work too. Like, so not only am I producing 3 things and creating 4 and pitching like 4 or 5, 6 or so eventually as soon as this shit ends. And then also, like working and all this other stuff. I'm also submitting myself and working on myself and taking acting classes and I pay lots of money for acting classes every month. I hope everyone's doing that if you really want to get paid for an audition. It's crazy. Yeah, anyway, that stuff just gets me. And I'll say that about any job. There's no job in the world that you should get paid for an interview.
I agree. And I love that we went off the rails with that because that's been heating me deep within my soul for a while. But
I mean, we have to say what we're hearing that isn't sounding correct.
You know what I'm hearing that's not sounding correct?
Tell me.
The Britney Spears memoir.
Okay, can we please get into this?
I would love to.
Okay, I know nothing. I've been avoiding it because I'm just like, Jesus.
I know. Well, first of all,
so much going on.
First of all, I love her. I'm a big fan. And so what I'm about to say, to preface what I'm about to say, is coming from a place of fandom. Britney Spears is from the armpit of Louisiana.
Truly.
She is white trash.
Yes.
That's how she grew up. Mm-hmm. And she's pretty open about it.
Yeah.
And probably has...
She says mama.
Yeah. And right. And probably has an 8th grade education, if we're lucky, because of what her career ended up being.
Yeah.
And so the idea that people are coming at her as if though she is this wildly intelligent sage woman is not factual.
Sure.
She is an undereducated Southern, comes from the poorest of the poor of the poor of the poor.
Yeah, yeah.
And Again, nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
But let's not hold her to like the Paris Hilton expectation when she's ratchet.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, we love Britney. I love her. I just want to see her thrive. That is all I want.
That's all we want.
The book,
Okay.
ghostwritten, obviously.
I mean,
Michelle Williams narrating it. Sus.
what?
I know.
I had no idea she was.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I know.
Okay.
And the releases that they have leaked so far
Oh my God.
have just been, first of all, she has been throwing people under the bus left and right.
Oh, I know.
And I love it. The whole thing with Justin Timberlake, where she was like losing her virginity to him, and she's like, okay, I'm ready, you can put it in. And he's like, it is in. And she goes, my world was shattered.
Oh my God. I thought it was the baby thing. It's that?
Oh, well, then there's that too,
Yeah,
where she.
that's a little bit like, yikes. Because, like, I'm not mad at anyone that's, like, young and doesn't want to have a kid right now. You
No.
know? Like, I don't really fault him for that part.
Well, no, but I don't fault him for that part, but I do fault him for pressuring her
Yeah, to do it.
to do it
Yeah,
when
that's
she wanted it.
That's fucked up, yeah.
She wanted to keep it. Now, whether her team would have allowed her to keep it or not is
Her
a totally
dad.
different is a totally different conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
But that was very much not her choice, and
No,
she
but
did
the
it to make
first
him
thing
happy.
has gotten me cackling. I had no idea that she said that. My world was shattered. Wow, she came for him. Wow,
She came for him. I cannot wait to read this book.
Wow.
I've not ordered it yet. I'm going to.
Oh, yeah.
I want to read this book like you don't even know.
Oh, yeah.
Like Mariah Carey's memoir was incredible.
Oh.
She reads it. Her voice is so soothing the way that she talks when she reads
Mariah
it.
Carey.
And
All I Want for Christmas
it's
is my
just
memoir.
right. It's a spectacular book. Her life
nothing
was
about glitter.
also
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
She does talk about glitter.
Wow.
Her book is nuts. The shit that she grew up with
mean,
is wild.
Her behavior, I mean, post glitter, was it? That was what it was called, right? It was glitter. I'm not
Yeah.
making that up. Okay, so she worked. Well, didn't work. She drank on a on a boat in the middle of Costa Rica, and I know one of the guys who worked like the whole time she had this boat just docked in Costa Rica, and he said that she was out of her mind drunk and would like throw shit on the boat and just be like, more, nah, and just like throw stuff. And then I'm like, I believe it, because after glitter, she had such a mental breakdown and like all her childhood trauma was coming back. And
So
all,
if
like,
I'm remembering this correctly,
and I could be wrong about
glitter. No, you're right.
I think so, yeah.
Glitter was not put together the way that she wanted it put
timeline.
together.
Oh, that's always a hard feeling.
She did not have control over that. To the point where like the editors were fucked. Like there's literally a moment in the movie where the actor playing opposite of her doesn't call her character name. He calls her Mariah, and no one in editing caught that. And so of course she was upset about it.
God.
And also that film came out on 9/11. And so, like,
oh my God,
it just was like, it was a bad day. It was a bad day for it was a bad day for the world, of course, but it was a bad day.
Tour guide to talk about it.
It was
on that tour.
It was a bad day for Mariah Carey, and it was a bad day for Beyonce because her solo album dropped on 9/11. So it was just a bad day for Black female pop stars. So I'm not surprised that, I mean, the movie tanked. It was a laughing stock for a while. I low-key loved it.
Yeah, I never watched it.
But I'm not
I
surprised
just couldn't
that
get
she
through
found
the
it.
preview, so I could never watch it.
I'm not
Also,
surprised
I
that she was on a
cringe
boat in Costa Rica, like sobbing her face off. And
Yeah, I don't
drinking.
blame her.
I don't blame her at all.
And I didn't even understand that had really happened until I was in Costa Rica, and this guy shared this with me, and he was like, yeah, it was just really weird because it's almost like she had a different personality from when I had met her previously, because I had worked on other like boats that she was on, or like things like she's used to have her crew, you know, and she was like not happy and like felt like a different person. I was like, man, it's so hard because you see these people go through meltdowns like Britney, and instead of being like, are you cool? You're a human being. This is a lot of pressure. We're just laughing at them.
Yeah.
And I say we as the royal we. I was not laughing at Britney Spears freaking out. That was really upsetting, and everyone should have.
Very upsetting.
It was really horrifying. Shaving your head. I really get why she did. You know, she didn't want anyone to touch her anymore, and it was like her taking power back. And
I can't wait. I'm so like the other thing about this book too, is that originally I believe it was said that it was like 280 pages. and the published copy is 230 something pages.
Whoa.
And so people are like, what?
What was
And she is
kept?
like spilling the tea.
She has nothing
in
to
this
lose,
book.
honestly, at this point.
Well,
Who
right,
cares?
but she's not in charge of what publishes it.
Oh, wow.
Or like what gets published per se. So I mean, I don't actually know that for a fact. But
Yeah, I
like,
don't understand the
from
logistics of
what I
it.
understand, that is the case. But like and that's kind of one of the reasons why I have a raised eyebrow towards it as well. Because even though she's like the tea is scalding hot, there is still like 80 pages missing.
Yeah.
Or 50 pages missing. And what did those pages say? If that's what you're
did they
releasing, what the fuck did those pages say?
Wow. Yeah, you're releasing
curious about
Abortion
that.
stories, like Jesus.
Right. So I'm curious about that, but I'm also kind of like, why was this edited down? Especially if there's a ghostwriter, and if she's actually really free, as we think that she is, why couldn't those pages be included?
I'm wondering, is me playing devil's advocate, because I honestly don't know, and I think what you're saying is eye-raising. My only response is maybe it's so fucked that like childhood stuff and drugs and things she was doing. Because I know some stories of her back in the day in New York, and I was just like, ooh, boy, so young in this bar, you know, like, like, ooh,
Well, my
you
other
know?
thought too is legal.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't Oh Baby, she was like 16. Yikes.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking at a child. Do you know?
Well, but she was predominantly in New York when she was a
I know,
preteen.
I know.
She did Ruthless on Broadway, and
know.
she was like a child.
Like a baby child, yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I mean. I'm wondering if they're taking stuff out because it's very dark, possibly illegal.
Possible, but I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll
I don't
see.
know.
Maybe,
Yeah, we'll see. What's it
I-
called? Do we know what it's called? Pieces of Me? I don't know.
I don't remember. I do not remember, but the cover is definitely a picture of her from like 30 years ago.
Okay.
Not really. It's probably like 10.
Yeah.
But she was 7.
Read her.
No, it's an old photo, but she
God.
I don't know.
What an
I
icon.
just like I'm all for conspiracy theory. I love them. I'm entertained to death by them. And at the end of the day, I always know that I will never know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm never going to like adhere to a truth when it comes to conspiracy theories. Because
Yeah.
like I'm never going to know. I'm
That's
never
true.
going to know
That's
unless
true.
Britney Spears is sitting in front of me and saying this happened.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like
Well, even then,
even then.
you know, the old,
Right.
I don't know.
Well, because you get into like the whole like conspiracy theory rabbit hole of like
Is that
body
her?
doubles
Yeah,
and
yeah.
clones
Yeah.
and like
Was that her voice? Why is she
lookalikes
deeper
and-
here? What is
right,
she?
like
Has she always been up pitch shifted?
right, like
you know?
look at her 2 front teeth. Are they separated or are they not?
God, I wish people would just make them up. I can't wait to be famous enough to where people are like, oh my God, is Sarah really a hermaphrodite? Did Sarah sell her soul to the devil? Is she in the Illuminati? When Madonna did her halftime show, and it was very Egyptian vibes, and everyone's like, it's the Illuminati. I was like, you're winning. You're still winning. Keep it up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, as soon as people are like, devil's there, you're like, you win. You've won.
There was something about Taylor Swift's tour too that was like she sold her soul because there's
She's
a
a
lot of
lizard
devil,
person.
There's a lot of devil imagery in her tour. It's like no,
Honey,
that's like,
baby, cutie, poo-poo.
There's a lot
No,
of
shut up.
devil things in the Bible too. Like
Yeah,
what-
welcome.
Hello.
You ever read Revelations? That bitch is an acid trip. What the
I
fuck
think
is
that,
that?
I think that's the only book that most people read.
Really? I don't think people have, because if they would have read Revelations, I don't think you'd want to finish. I don't think you wouldn't even know what that book's about. Revelations is crazy. They're
Yeah.
talking about 3-eyed pyramids coming out of the clouds and sucking out your souls, and it's crazy shit. It's like literally on drugs. It's like just being on drugs.
Well, and that's why I think it's such a funny book because it's such a standout from the rest.
It is.
Because the rest of them are just like storytelling, and this is like
Some of them, yeah,
this
some of
is
them are
like
insane.
Someone was on like mushrooms.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
wrote some shit
Psychedelics
down.
were Revelations is psychedelics for sure, or had head trauma. I don't know. You name their pick, or
Both.
had syphilis and was slowly dying. It was just
Yeah.
writing
And they were like,
as their
"That's
brain
right, Dad,
rotted.
what we see."
But especially the Old Testament, which is I love that we're in this. We started with self tapes, Britney, Old Testament. This is truly unhinged. Anyway, I love it so much. How to Be Rich Bitch. Anyway, so Yeah, like the Old Testament, and I'm sorry for all of those listening that think it's blaspheme, but I was raised in this shit, and I gotta say, the Old Testament is a totally different book. We know that already. Everyone should know that. And the New Testament is so much happier and more like, but also Jesus, right? Like heal him and shit, and then end with psychedelics. Whereas like the Old Testament is like blank lay with blank lay with blank lay with. Then they stone their neighbors, and be sure to, that whale he somehow survived in there, and let's make sure that it's just really boring, and it's a lot of sacrifice to God and a lot of sacrifice, because before the New Testament, apparently the person who made everything, or the God who made everything, didn't know that like maybe killing isn't necessary, and so he killed Jesus and was like, oh shit, don't kill animals anymore, I killed this guy and that sucked. It's just so
it's
insane.
Unhinged. Well, and I just like, again, this is non-religious specific, but
Sure.
I cannot be bothered with people who are religious. Like, and it's not even the people, it's the organized religion.
Oh yeah, organized religion is
institution of itself.
Lordy Lord.
Someone
Yeah.
said to me the other day, name a war that religion has stopped. And I was like, dragged, because
Ew,
they've started all of them.
Other than Buddhists.
Yes.
Because that's the most like not religion. It's literally like
Right. It's an
it's about
ideology.
you,
Right.
and be peaceful, and what you do hurts others, and don't hurt yourself. I think Buddhism is the only one I can think of that has never started a thing. Then
Sure.
again, offshoots of Buddhism, I'm
Totally.
sure have been insane. I'm sure there's one guy named blank blank who started his own Buddhist cult, and then fast forward 2 months later, they're all carrying AKs and walking through the mountains.
There we
You know
go.
what I mean?
Well, but this ties in nicely to what I wanted to bring up next.
Ew, yes, please.
Is that like organized religion? It's ridiculous. And
Yeah.
if you read any kind of biblical
there's nothing wrong with you
text,
believing things, but when you start to be organized and you start to harm others or harm people,
right, you're
a problem.
A cult.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a component of the religion that's like you have to give up everything in order to receive this ominous thing at the end that you might not get unless you follow all the rules.
Yeah, I'm
Like
looking at
that-
you, Scientology.
or,
Get your life.
or Catholicism, or literally
or-
anything. Literally all of them.
Yeah.
But this ties into, I've been watching this documentary on one of the streamers about cults.
Fun. I love
It's like,
love
I think it's
cults.
like 2 or 3 seasons. I just finished the Charles Manson one last night.
Oh wow, what
What a ride.
what a fucking
But
ride.
like there have been some crazy ones.
Yes.
And it just is like, and to my point that I just made about how they're all terrible, all religions are terrible, is that like all of these cults, not a single one of them pretended to not be religious. They were all religious.
right.
Every single one of them
or
was religious.
spiritual. Yeah.
Not even. It was like definitely some kind of Christian God figure.
Interesting.
And they used it to manipulate people, take money from them, and sexually abuse them.
There's so much
Nearly
sexual abuse.
100% of the
so
time.
much in these cults.
Yeah, well, Catholic Church.
Yeah. Hey, big
Southern,
time.
Southern Baptist.
Yeah. Sinead O'Connor was now who R.I.P.
Orthodox
was-
Jews.
Yep.
Rampant.
Rampant.
In all
Rampant.
of it.
Rampant.
And
Rampant.
so it's, again, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck,
Watch
it's
out.
probably a duck.
Yeah.
And so I have no patience.
But
or
it's
time for
fine.
any
Send
of
your
it.
kids to your priest, your local priest, but don't let any drag queen come near them.
Not a
obviously,
single
yeah,
one.
of course. 'Cause-
Honestly, I wish drag queens would start a cult. Like that
yeah,
would be kind of
that'd be so
great.
sick. I would join it.
But also I saw, and then of course because TikTok and phones and algorithms and all of that
Sure.
being connected are horrifying. I opened up my TikTok this morning and it was this video. It's this
Oh,
video
God.
of this woman was like, I want to tell you this story about this time that I traveled to South Korea to visit this rapist in prison who I believed was actually the Messiah and the something or other. And someone else stitched it and they were like, you know, I didn't think that I was doing okay, but actually I think I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
what the
It was like,
fuck?
it was so like,
Why?
how? I don't know. But she was like, I
Oh,
traveled.
these damaged women.
I traveled to South Korea with this cult to meet this rapist who I believed was the Messiah and the second
I
coming
like how he
of
said
Christ. and
she was
blah,
like, he was a rapist for sure, but he also could have been.
also
why
could have been.
why was it like that's fine, but also
because
that's
because
insane.
people- I think it's the putting on, I don't know what the word I'm looking
Sure.
for is, but it's the putting on the pedestal of religion and for one.
Sure.
And then also the duality of undereducating
Yeah.
people to not have like critical thinking.
Can I
skills.
bring up something that I find that is interesting with like religious people and what's going on politically?
Sure.
I don't understand why religious people, and listen, if you're listening to this and you got this far and this literal title is I want to be a rich bitch and you're with a gay boo boo and whatever, I'm this fucking bitch right here and you're still with us right now. Bless you, because you made it. Anyway, but this is also to you. If you're super religious, and a lot of evangelical Christians seem to have aligned, and this was a switch, by the way. They used to be Democrats, and then they switched over to Republicans. I can't remember what the era was, but it was around the time that they were like, look, we don't feel like we're being paid attention to by the Democrats. We're actually going to switch now. So they went to the Republicans. This is in our U.S. history. Look it up.
I feel
it
like
just shows
that sounds like the 60s to me.
Yeah, it might have been the 60s when progressivism was coming out, civil rights, and it was some sort of divide. Either way, that just shows you that it's really not about anything, but let's just join a group, and then we're a group, so we're just going to co-sign. So what I don't understand about the religious people is why the fuck, and I really want to ask this question, why the fuck are you, an evangelical Christian, obsessed with Donald fucking Trump when he's had more abortions? More women has he cheated? He literally is the only president where a literal Stormy Daniels, porn star, say her name, Stormy Daniels, sounds like a horse, which I just love too. I love a good porn star name that sounds like a horse, like a stallion, like Musty Rivers, Stormy Daniels.
And she certainly is.
She is a stall.
Love.
Yeah, love her. One of my favorite stallions, other than Megan. So. Anyway, he's the only president, literally, that we have an actual person that's like, yeah, he paid me for sex. He doesn't want you guys to know about it. He's the only one who's been now, I think by 2 of his ex-wives, been said that he's totally raped them, and then they've divorced him. He's the only one that's literally been at Studio 54 getting blowies and doing all the things you guys hate. He literally was pro-choice up until he decided not to be one day because he just knows he wants to flip the script. So why, if you stand for all of these things, this chaste, Mike Pence, for example, like that vanilla whatever who's secretly gay is the most boring. He's all the things you guys want, but yet you guys really glom on to Donald J. Trump, who is the epitome. He is a rich New Yorker, elite city boy. He swears he did drugs. He literally married a softcore porn artist, his current wife. He has been caught with prostitutes. He's paid for multiple abortions. He has literally been on Jeffrey Epstein's island. He has literally done all the things you guys hate. He's sexually promiscuous. He rates women in beauty pageants. He loves titties. How the fuck is this the guy that you like? That's just my question. What is that?
So I'm looking this up now, and I remember this from his early campaigning, but for whatever reason, and I don't really feel like reading this article, but for whatever reason, they were comparing him to King David because King David was a big sinner and had a big sinful life.
Sin, yeah.
And then he did a little repenty moment, and then all of a sudden he was...
Power price compels you, holy water. Yeah.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden he was like within the good graces of the Lord.
Like, right.
And so when...
He's like, grab him in le pussy. Or like, no, he was like, hither thou art, pussy, I grab. And they were like, we love him. He's okay with us now.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when all of what you were saying was coming to the headlines and the forefront of the questions, their response, because they always have a response, was King David.
Interesting.
And it was just like, you have got to be kidding me.
So you're talking about a guy who's been dead for years. And it's just so funny.
Years, it's millennia.
It's like you hate drag queens. You think that's somehow sexually promiscuous because they wear fake titties and they're impersonating women, but in reality, they are literally giving an act. They are literally doing clown work / commedia dell'arte / just fabulousness. That bothers you. You don't like certain books being read in school, but the guy that you keep voting for has done all the things that you hate in those books, other than be gay. But that's I know.
He was at Studio 54.
I know. We know.
He has definitely had sexual
some gay moments.
With men.
Yeah, exactly. My point is openly. But anyway, only Mike Pence though was there. But anyway, who hates Mulan? Anyway, I hate Mulan. Anyway, that's what I just call him, Mulan hater. I just think it's so hypocritical and weird. Like, it'd be one thing if you guys only liked Mike Huckabee. Like the old Southern, I'm going to play my guitar, I've only had one wife, and I only lay with her to procreate. If that's the man you're following, you know what? Fine.
And
At least you're doing what you say you're doing.
And he gave birth to a football.
Yeah, exactly. And then as long as like, look, if that's your guy, fuck yeah, dude. Like you guys are lining up all the things that you say you are. But if you're literally going to the literal polar opposite, that's so fucking hypocritical. It makes everything that you fight for insane.
And they know it, and they don't care.
Yeah, and then what's that
it doesn't
chick's
make
name that got
sense.
fingered in Beetlejuice, and then she juiced some dude's
Lauren
beetle
Boebert.
also?
Yeah.
Lauren Boebert, same thing. She's like, it's immoral. I'm just gonna say she's Southern. I don't know if she is, but
She's from like Colorado or some shit.
oh, she's not. Okay, well, whatever. She's like, it's immoral. Gay people, blah, 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 grooming. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I'm gonna jack this man off.
In a theater.
In a theater,
In
not a
public.
movie theater, a live theater.
At a show for kids.
At a show for kids, because Beetlejuice is not where you juice beetles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she
got
was
her
juicing
Beetles juice.
somebody's
She's doing it
beetle.
around- That's because she's deplorable, as to use a word.
I can't stand any of them.
Yeah, but anyway, not to get into that whole thing, because honestly, fuck him. But it is confusing, and I would love to understand why he's fine to do all these terrible things. Is it just misogyny's fine for you? Is that it?
I
I don't
honestly think
understand.
that
Is it his comb over? Is it really doing it
No,
for you?
it's whiteness.
Yeah.
It's the embodiment of whiteness and the perceived like veneer of the American dream. Because
okay.
he quote unquote came from nothing / didn't and
Sure.
built this empire that's bankrupt.
Yeah.
But like the
Trump University, Trump
personification of
Steaks.
it,
Where are they?
the personification of it all is success.
True.
And it's success by a strong, loud white male.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that is just within the groundwater of our country
Yeah.
and what people tend to resonate with.
Loud people.
But
I can understand. Again, I can understand that. What you're saying is entirely true. It's just looking at the religious component. It's so odd because I don't know a single person who was running in whether it's Republican or Democrat that was more dirty old man than I've ever in the world. It's so shocking with the chaste society.
Think that it's whiteness.
Yeah.
Because evangelical Christianity is rooted solely in whiteness.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter if he has sinned. Sinners can be forgiven. Sinners can change their ways.
Yeah.
Sinners can repent.
Yeah, he can do all those things 5 years ago and during his campaign, but he's forgiven now.
But he's forgiven.
Yeah.
And they will continue to forgive him because he is a loud, strong, successful, rich white man.
Yeah.
The end.
The toxic masculinity of it all.
I truly think that is just, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I just like to point it out though, because I feel like people that really feel that way don't really think about what that means. It means you're a hypocrite. So unless you want to,
they don't care. That's the thing. They do not care. They're not thinking the same way that you and I
know.
would, because there is a lack of integrity. There is a void of empathy.
Sure.
And so therefore they know that they're being hypocritical. They don't care.
Right.
All they care about is staying in power and getting their way.
Yeah.
And so however they, I feel like I say this all the time too, and I'm starting to feel more and more like this every day. Not that I'm going to become a Republican or anything, but in the movie The Mummy, and I think we've talked about this.
I don't know.
There's a
Love that movie.
line. There's a line where the one guy says, "It is better to be on the right hand of the devil than in his path."
Okay.
And that is a conscious decision that I feel like people who think like us make to get into those situations.
Yeah.
But if you are raised a particular way under,
100%.
under the guise of whiteness and power and wealth and
Sure.
success,
Yeah.
then being on the right hand of the devil is just how it is. And I don't know if they realize that that's what it is. But to me, it is they don't care. It doesn't matter.
It's easier to just be
will they
like-
win? Will they get what they think is theirs, quote unquote? Yes, great. That's our guy.
Right. No, you're right.
Doesn't matter.
That I believe that is the party. Absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying. It's just that the religious component always LOLs me because it's just the most hypocritical shit of all time.
Well, and I grew up in a Catholic school, and so the religious component to me has always LOL'd me.
Well, yeah, me
Literally
too. I
everything.
grew up in a Presbyterian school, so yeah, it's the same thing.
I just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. Like in general, and this is non-denominational specific, but if your religion is telling you that something is yours or you shall inherit something,
Yeah.
this belongs to you, or prompts you to other people and kill people and whatever, then like you're wrong.
Yeah.
I don't care what your label is.
Yeah.
You're wrong, and you're in a cult.
Yeah. Also, from what I've read of Jesus, he wouldn't like Donald Trump either. And
But Trump aside, like I don't believe in the historical figure and or the embodiment of whatever Jesus this is. I feel like literally speaking, it is an amalgamation of certain people of the time to create a parable or a fable or teach a lesson or whatever. So I don't believe in any of that shit.
well, I'm not saying I do. I was just saying as a joke.
I know.
Like,
But
I don't think he would love
to set
that.
up what I'm about to say
Yeah.
is that it doesn't matter if the fictional and or historical version of Jesus, whomever wants to believe in is true, would like him or not. These people don't care about those teachings. They do not actually care about what is in their quote unquote Bible.
Right.
They don't care. What they care about is being in charge.
Right.
And so therefore, and again, it's because of whiteness. They want to be in charge, and they will use the Bible, the American flag, some political figure, whomever,
Yeah.
as a scapegoat, as a shield, as a podium,
For bad behavior.
whatever,
Yeah, for
to
control.
justify what they're doing. And it just is amoral. And to them, it does not matter.
Yeah.
And they truly believe that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Even though it is completely the antithesis of anything that they say that
That's
they
the
believe
scary part about it. That's why January 6th happened. It was the scary part. It's like you really think you're right.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. And and you're willing to be violent for it. And so for this cult thing, was there anyone who stood out to you? Were they mostly male leaders?
in. No.
That's interesting.
Well,
Ooh.
I mean, the majority of them, yes.
Okay, mostly,
But
yeah.
there were women leaders, too, which I
Interesting.
thought were interesting.
Was there a difference in like their dynamic?
No.
Interesting.
No, they all kind of led with an iron fist.
Wow.
And they all claim to be some kind of embodiment of God because and all of them
Wow.
said something to the effect of like, because we are all made in the image of God, I am God and you are God and this, that, and the next thing. And then the separation of it was, but I talk to God, and so I know better than you.
Oh,
and you should
there you
listen
go.
to me
That's their
because
leg up.
I'm a
Because if
prophet.
we're all in this together, like, and everyone's equal, then
Then why am I listening?
why
to
are we
you?
doing this? Yeah.
Because I if we're gonna go down that road, then like
Yeah.
if we're all created in the image of God, then yes, that statement is correct.
Sure.
And we are all in fact a piece of God.
Yeah.
And I think the version of that I find to be a little bit more exciting and fun
Stars.
is stars.
Star
Exactly.
stuff. We're all stars.
We're all made of stars.
I love that.
I love that so much.
That's my favorite thing.
But I don't know. I just like it's such an interesting documentary
What's it called?
series. It's called People Investigates. Like People Magazine investigates cults. And
I've
there's
watched a lot of
tons
cult
them.
things. They're
Me
very
too. I'm
fascinating to me.
fascinated by it.
Yeah, because I think also me and you grew up in a certain world where we were raised to believe a cult, and
Yeah.
we were raised to believe something that is
Yep. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. I was at church.
Yeah, and it's like, and some things I really bought into, some things I always was on the fence. I was like, this doesn't seem right. Even from a babu, something was telling me, why would you say this? Why does this have to do with this? Or why is that a good story? And then when you really try to dissect it, you realize like Aesop's Fables and the Bible and all these other books, they have some lessons. Some of them are terrible. Some of them actually make no sense and don't teach you anything good. And some are a lesson. Like Jesus slipping that table because it's got gold on it and money is blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
let's get rich anyway. And
But
be rich.
it's the selective.
Oh, it's cherry picking.
It's cherry picking.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then for cults, it feels like it feels like everyone, from what I've seen of cult, because I've studied a lot of them because they are fascinating. I find them fascinating. I want to write a screenplay about them. Like I've written a couple like ideas, storyboarded a couple things. I think it's been done a lot, but I don't think it's been done in a way that I think can really take off like a culty. There's been some cult shows, but I think they can do more for sure.
Yeah.
But a female-led cult is interesting, but I also love the fact that they're all the same anyway, really, when it
They're
comes down
all
to it.
the
It's
same.
just human beings being gutter.
Well, and it also is. It's one of those things where I'm watching this, and it's like people are so easily led.
Because they want to be.
They want to be.
Yeah, it's scarier than to... It's scary.
It's really scary.
It can be frightening to some people that aren't okay being alone or okay being individualist or just like don't know where their North Star leads, and they feel like they need to be told where that North Star is supposed to take them.
And they interview a lot of people who have survived the cults. And that's one of the things that they say. I was looking for something else. I wanted to feel like I belonged to something, and this, that, and the next thing. And so it's the giving them the sense of community.
Yeah.
That they belong somewhere. That is the real kind of thing. And it's terrifying to see how much and how willing they are to overlook things that are abhorrent and illegal.
Yeah.
To just have a community and feel a sense of something.
Wow.
It's wild.
It is wild. It is wild. And it's that whole bullshit tribalism shit. It's just like makes me, it's just like, I feel like, I feel like the big antidote for all of this, for like literally all of this bullshit, is education, access to healthcare, access to help, and connecting with some people on real levels without feeling like you have to give something to have a connection anyway. Isolation.
I would go farther than that. I mean, healthcare, obviously, yes, people want to be taken care of. One of the things that a lot of these cults were offering was free housing and free food.
Right.
So again, we've talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs here.
Yeah.
If those bases were covered, in a real way, I feel like a lot of this would go away.
Yeah, well,
I also
desperation wouldn't exist like in that form.
And I just also, this is never going to happen, and this is probably as far left as I get, but like, can we just get rid of religion, please? Please, please. It's never done any good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Other than some hospitals that are named St. Mercy's of blank, bitty, blank, blank, and they invested money in.
But all those
then they
hospitals
go
profit.
somewhere. Yeah, it's not really a religion.
You're tacking a cute little name on it.
Yeah.
But you're actually not doing anything.
Yeah.
But putting people in medical debt. So I just think that let's cut the bullshit, cut religion out.
Well, it shouldn't be involved in any way of our ecosystem in terms of I agree. Economy, in terms of political. Like, why the fuck separation of church and state was the most wonderful thing created? How the fuck is that not happening? Why is that happening?
Well, I mean, we're looking now at. I think on our political front here, where we're at now, we're very quickly turning into something like Iran, where women are dress coded and are not allowed to do certain things. God. And, that's where we're headed.
I know. Yeah.
And other countries in the Middle East area that are popular in the news at the moment, those are theocracies, and that's terrifying.
That's horrifying, you guys.
Because we are not a monolith.
Right. We are not.
Especially us. Other countries are not either. They have larger percentages of followership under their specific religious title. We don't. Yes, the majority of everyone here is a Christian nation. They're Christian followers or Christian identifying. But in no means, and I didn't mean to say Christian nation, because by no means are we a Christian nation. We never were, we never should be, we never will be, I hope. Because there are so many others here. And so then it's
we're a melting pot. Yeah.
It's messy, and I hate talking about it because people get so hot and bothered about it.
I mean, I feel like we have to, though, because at this point it's just, I'm not here to make it like a political pot, because we've never have, but it's like, as a woman and just as a person watching stuff and being like me and you were raised surrounded by certain things and we left, it's just like one of those things where you're just like, our perspective is our people that have experienced some of these things and are in certain groups that are subjugated, whether it's our orientation or our gender or wherever we're at. And I do see that this is something we need to speak on, because I don't want to lose any more things as a woman. I don't want there any more bans against, drag queens and women not be able to access health care in certain states, which has already happened.
Yeah.
And I said this was going to happen years ago, and it's already happened. And I think I just want people, no one's listening probably to this podcast that feels this way, but if they are, I want you to ask people, if you're surrounded by them who have these really hard fundamentalist beliefs and believe that those should be imposed on the rights and lives of others, and burn these books and do this and that. Why are you doing this? It's not helpful. It's going to make us turn into the very people that you guys dog in the Middle East that you don't like, so you hate, blah, blah, blah. Then why do you want to be like that? Don't be like that.
The answer, again, is whiteness.
It is.
And control.
It is. Yeah. I know the answer. I want them to think about it.
I know.
But yeah, That was Unhinged.
I mean, we really took a spiral there.
We did. We started with, I've been working a lot. I'm really grateful though for my union. Love them.
And now we're like cults and gloom and doom.
Well, I think it all started with Britney Spears. Let's be real. And then we went into the cult factor.
And it's so easy to go into the gloom and doom with Britney Spears.
We love her.
I just like, I don't know. And again, I think this is true with what we're talking about now with religious stuff and also Britney Spears and also cults and also conspiracy theories. We are never going to know the right answer. Mm-hmm. And so it is our burden to decide whether we want to feverishly pursue the right answer and twiddle our lives away trying to figure that out, or if we just want to live as good people and help others and do good and not worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there needs to be a big push on just pursuing and surrounding yourself with uplifting people you love, people you care about, pursuing your passions, and also making that money and getting on with your life.
And also, I think to that point in our current political climate, I think that's one of the reasons why the right is pushing so hard is because they are seeing a larger swath of people abandoning religion.
Yeah, that's true.
Attendance in congregations at churches is way down.
Lowest it's ever been, yeah.
And just being like, you know what? I don't care. I just want to be a good person and live a good life and help other people. And I think that's the way that we should live anyway. And I don't need a label or a church or a congregation to define it at all. And that's why they're scared. And that's why they're trying to create this monster to control the narrative.
Yeah.
And they can't. And they know it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, stay safe out there. No, but I think all this is good. I don't know. I think we have to talk about because sometimes we can talk about, big titty dummies.
I love a big titty dum-dum.
Big titty dum-dums.
Let me tell you something. I would love to close on a higher note.
Yeah, let's just close on some big titty dum-dums.
My Instagram feed, like my For You suggested Instagram is nothing. I'm going to show you.
Okay,
it's
please do.
Literally nothing
but big titty
dum-dums.
Well,
it makes me so happy.
We love that.
Every time I log into Instagram and I'm like, let me go to discover mode.
And mine's all like cats.
Big titty.
Wow, it literally is big titty dum-dums.
Like,
wow,
big titties.
Wow, literally
big titties. They're everywhere. And
wow, this is my. This is not just
page.
One guy's place.
No, this is my discover.
Wow, babes.
This is and like if I refresh it, then it's like even more.
Wow.
Like look at those.
Jesus.
These big bearded tittied men.
Mine is literally cats.
That is hilarious.
Pop cult singers.
I should screen cap this and make this our episode.
Hold on, let me.
Like,
this is so insane.
Yep, big titty dum dums all over my IG.
Oh my god, I love that. That's your requested. Mine's like all union. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Mine is literally makeup tutorials, cats, pop culture, some sex stuff.
You have a variety.
All sorts of things, honestly. Mine is very varied. And yours is just literally
mine.
Yours is literally just big titty dum-dums. Yeah, like see mine is like cats and beauty, Britney, memes. There's an attractive person, like trade. Just drag queens, makeup cats. Yeah, I mean it's just literally. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yours is just big titty dum-dums. All right. Well, guys, we figured it out. If anything is exemplary of what we stand for, our Instagrams really just
it's big titty dum-dums.
So thank you so much for listening to Big Titty Dum-Dums and talk about some really deep topics. But stay rich out there. Deep. It got really deep, but I think it needed to.
I think it did too. I love when it goes deep.
Don't we all? So anyway, put the money on the table. I'm gonna take these coins that I now have.
You have the coins.
You're so rich.
Pay me.